He's dropping in. He's dropping in.
Drop it in.
He's dropping in. I repeat, he is dropping in.
And bridges.
He's in. How are you?
How you doing?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Doing alright.
Mic okay?
Just work, I guess.
How's my mic? Is my mic weird?
No.
Okay.
Fine.
Sounds a little feedbacky on my end there, but that's fine.
Sure.
How's work going?
It's pretty good. One of our teammates got a new job. So it means more work for me, right?
Oh. Okay.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Okay.
Because a little more job security.
Okay.
Okay.
More pay?
No.
Of course not.
More work.
Yeah. Same pay. Helldivers.
FTL jump successful.
Coming in. Coming in hot.
Mission coordinates locked. Hellpods prime.
You've been watching the NBA finals, huh?
Yeah, I think it's really entertaining. I try to keep up with it. Oh yeah, I need a different gun. Cause that don't do much.
Oh, now that you mention it, I do get some static.
I'm talking.
It's like all the time. Maybe it's my headset. Let me restart it.
Let me see mine too.
Alright. I think I fixed it. Yep, it's gone. It was me.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like mine's correct. So. Okay. Look at you. You're just going heavy duty, huh?
Helldivers to Hellpods.
You're going big body.
Helldivers to Hellpods.
Big body on them. Interesting that you prioritize the speed over the ammo.
Because I am fat. I have a heavy armor.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. That makes sense. Coming in. I'm trying to get to it. Did I get there? Oh. Oh, well, I got killed by a heavy devastator, so that's fun. I was trying to destroy the factory up there, but I did not, clearly.
Devastators. Uh-oh. I didn't think you would land in the...
I will survive!
How's the running? How's the yogging?
Yog. Soft J. That's good. It's good. It's just to go for extraction here. What gun do you have? You have like a Garand or something.
reload.
Okay. Was that a little EMT or something?
Yeah, little stun gun, little stun grenade.
Alright, yeah. I like it, I like it. Yeah, it's been good. It's just. I mean, obviously, I think I like it because it's just different than what I've normally done. Oh, did I? No. But because just like you have to, it's like you train. It's like you run slow to race fast is like the thing. Like you have to like very slowly, like 10% per week, increase your mileage or your speed. Like otherwise, you just get hurt. Like it's like you're kind of like you're trying to improve, but in like a safe way, which is kind of I guess that's a challenging part of it is because like if you're just like you treat it like weightlifting, where it's like okay, I gotta get this bench up. All right, 10 reps, give it all you got. You know, the last set you're straining and blue in the face, and you can do that like 3 times in a set. And then, do it again in a couple days if you wanted to.
Right.
But this is more like, now you need to do like a really slow run where like your heart rate is around like 120 to 130. And then you do another one of those probably. And then that third run, if you really want to, you can start like, okay, I'm actually going to like do like hill repeats, where I'm just going to run up a hill, 80% of my max effort, 4 times in a row, or you can do more, obviously. You work up to it, though. So it's just kind of... I do like the way, like, I feel like I get a pretty good, how to say it, I feel like I get, like, the runner's high, I guess is what they call it.
Oh, you get a little high.
You do. I feel like I get like more energy, and you feel that. Like you'll notice like the day after. Oh, hey, I just feel kind of a little more sharper, a little more energized, a little more, I guess just like your endorphin and serotonin are just a little better there. So, I don't know. I do like it. You do have to, like, I guess what is hard about it is that you have to, like, do little exercises on the side. Like, you can't just, like, oh, I'm only gonna, just run. Like, you could do that for a little while, or, like, you could do it, if you're only gonna do, like, 3 miles at a time, like, you could probably do it without needing to, like, really focus, like, on calf raises, really focus on glute bridges, or really focus on getting your hip flexors stronger, your feet stronger, even. It's like, as more mileage you get, like I was getting to like 6 miles at a time, it's like, yeah, your feet and your calves and your shin splint area, like kind of all of that is gonna start, you're gonna start feeling it. So like that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like, well, I have to like find a way, and that's not like it's super long, but it's just kind of like you just have to remember to do it. Like, it's like it takes 10 minutes, but you just gotta go do 3 sets of 10 on the calf raises, and you gotta go do throw stunts on it. But so yeah, you gotta find time to do like some glute bridges and mix those in on the days you don't run. So I feel like it's kind of like challenging in that way. It kind of keeps you have to kind of stay on top of it. If you stop running, like if you stop running for like a week, you already see kind of like your gains, them gains. You'll notice like your speed and like your ability to take on mileage is like decreases pretty quickly. So you kind of have to like stay on top of it there. And I feel like it's
Right,
kind of
right.
punishing because like I ran yesterday. I ran for like an hour, but it was like one of those slow ones where you do like heart zone training, where you're training your heart to be at a higher than normal heart rate, but not too high. I guess it's like 120 to 130. You're just keeping it in that zone, so it's a pretty slow jog. Sometimes you can even walk. Like if it's a hill, you could walk the hill and you're still staying at 120. But you're staying there for like an hour.
Collecting so many samples.
So
Always good to have
you know, it's not like super like the little Garmin watch tells you, okay, what do you think your effort was and how do you feel? And I was like, well, I was like a 2 out of 10, and oh god, Illuminous is gone. Okay, we can do bots again if you want. I haven't done bots in a while.
Okay.
But we can do not.
Who's here?
Hello.
Hey!
Hello.
How are you, Bill?
Good.
How's it going?
Good. Have to see what's happening with the Super basketball game.
Oh yeah, it could be a tough one there for the Warriors.
I mean, I don't have anyone playing, right? Well,
yeah, well, their main
this is
guy,
Kyrie.
their main man, the straw that stirs the drink.
Let us secure the sustenance of Super Earth.
But
Good Draymond?
Man.
How are you? How's work going?
Good. Good. I did a funeral on Saturday for Kayla's grandpa.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all good.
Was he ill?
Yeah, they found out he had cancer every which where. Some few months ago, he kind of went downhill pretty quick, and it's been a weird thing to figure out because he's. I think I kind of told y'all this a little bit, but he's been a very successful, hardworking man his whole life, and has built several companies over the years. He started the shrimping co-op in Rockport back in the 80s. Just a good hardworking guy that's made some good money. But he got remarried 24 years ago.
Mentioned this a little bit, yes.
Yeah. And so Kayla's grandmother passed away from cancer 26 years ago. And then Alton got remarried within like 6 months. And the lady he got remarried to, the family never welcomed very well.
After 6 months, yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and yeah, and that's just it. Like they found phone records of her calling the house and talking for over an hour to Alton while their mom was still alive, kind of on her deathbed basically. And so anyway, they never saw eye to eye, and here they are in this last 3 to 4 months where things have gone downhill quickly. They've tried to kind of make sure he has his last wishes in order, and it's just been super ugly. Like basically they read the will off to the daughters. He has 3 daughters. They read the will off to the daughters, and it states that everything he has will go to them, because she was pretty successful as well and had a lot of money from her first marriage, and so there's no reason for her to need anything. And so basically his estate, his monies, his everything is going to go to his 3 daughters. Well, that's what the will says. So the attorney read off the will and everything in there, and he goes, so that's what his will was and what his will states. However, I have to let y'all know that his wife, Nancy, is listed at, well, he said 3 weeks ago she was added as the sole beneficiary to all of his bank accounts.
Right. Yep.
And so he basically, the attorney said, like, beneficiary on accounts outweighs or takes precedent over will.
Yeah.
And so it was like really tough
it's her
for them
money now, basically, right?
It is all of it's hers.
Yeah.
And so they read this will that in there states from his mouth
Yeah.
to the attorney, I want everything to go to my daughters. But then the attorney right after that goes, but, him and I had that conversation a month ago, and a week later she was added as the beneficiary on all the accounts, so that supersedes mine and his conversations. And what's really tough about that is 3 weeks ago when that happened, he was not in
His
a
right
state
mind.
of mind
Yeah.
to be making those sort of decisions. Like, there was days where he couldn't tell you his children's name. He couldn't tell you his hometown. He couldn't tell you hardly anything.
Right.
And it's in that season that he was probably more or less coerced into going down there. And what's even more muddy about it and messy is not only was she added as the beneficiary, the primary beneficiary, but her son, whom he's only met a couple of times, was also added as a beneficiary on his accounts. And for the daughters, that makes it even more like clear that he was not in the right frame of mind when he did that, because he doesn't even know her son hardly.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting few months of listening to them kind of
Process
fight,
all that. Yeah.
process, and Kayla's oldest aunt, so Alton, like I said, has 3 daughters. His oldest daughter, Charlotte, doesn't need anything. Like, they have a very successful business, very big house, a lot of property. They've done very well. They don't need any of it. Kayla's mom and dad, on the other hand, are foster parents
Right.
at a private foster home, and they don't have anything that resembles much of a 401k. They don't own any property, and that's not like his job to fix. Like, that's their fault for
Right.
maybe not making super, good financial decisions and stuff like that. But, like, this definitely would have been helpful anyway. That's kind of a kick in the nuts. And then Tracy, the youngest, she got divorced like 7 years ago, and her husband actually, like, ran one of Alton's companies. He built docks and piers and bulkheads, and was relatively successful doing that. And when they divorced, like, she basically told him, like, I don't need any of yours. I don't need anything from you. My dad will take care of me. And then now her dad's not taking care of her. So Tracy lives in an apartment in Aransas and runs a vape shop over there, and doesn't like do super well. And then my in-laws are doing their best, but like they're already like approaching 60 and not sure what they're going to do about retirement, if retirement even exists for them. And so they could definitely stand to gain something, but instead nobody
Nancy's
gets
keeping it.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just keeping it. And it's I don't know the exact numbers, but like it's somewhere in the $2 million ballpark
Yeah.
of what was left to her. Well, what he said he wanted divided
Right.
amongst his daughters, but is left to Nancy. And then like 12 acres in Woodsboro with a ranch or farm on it, and then a pretty decent sized house in Old Rockport. So yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt us any,
Right.
except for the having to like just a
Deal
little
with
bit
all
of
of
it.
it,
Yeah, my father-in-law called me, kind of like, "Can you believe this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can actually."
yeah.
But They did ask me to do his funeral, which was on Saturday, which was an honor to do. But also, it's like doing a funeral for anyone is like there's a lot of pressure, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to do that well, and then for it to be someone that had as big of a reputation and community as he had, like there was like 450 people at his funeral. So
Wow.
it wasn't just a funeral for any older person. It's like a person that's held in high regard, and so it's going to be well attended. And then on top of that, probably the most significant thing is your wife's grandfather. And so yeah, that extra layer. Man, I'm so glad that last week was Sean's anniversary, because I would not have been available on Thursday. I mentally, I've been
prepping it all out,
so
yeah.
just booked. Like, yeah.
So how did it go? How did you think that it went?
It went really well, from my perspective, and from
Okay.
other people have told me that they thought it went really well. People have asked me to do their funeral now, and I said, well, you don't have
Well.
to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I just, like, anytime I speak, I try to, like, invite people into the conversation as far as, like not, obviously not literally, but I try to be very relational and personal, and
Yeah.
that I feel like that does really well at a funeral. So I just kind of told some personal stories. I compared him, in one of my points in my message. I compared him to. Let me pull up my notes because I don't want to butcher this.
Right.
Because so he graduated from Rockport. He was homecoming queen. His wife was homecoming. Sorry, he was homecoming queen. She was home. You know what I'm saying. He was
Yes.
king.
Yes.
She was queen.
Yes.
They were like Mr. and Mrs. Athlete. Like they were, whatever
Right. Yeah,
superstars
they're
of
homecoming king
Rockport.
and queen. Yeah, there you go.
And then he went on to have a successful bulkhead and feeder and dock company, and then started the co-op, and then he was a rancher. Like he's just kind of like a guy that's got a lot of lore to him.
Yeah.
He held like 4 school records at one point for one of the oddest things. It was like he held a school record for high jump,
Oh.
for 300-meter hurdles, and for the mile run. Like what the hell?
The mile.
What kind of
Yeah.
what kind of a specimen are we talking about here?
Really.
That you can jump high, you can do a kind of a sprint, 300-meter hurdles,
Right.
and then you're out here doing an endurance race?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What is this guy? And so anyway, in that, like, I basically said, like, in a roundabout way, talking about his legacy and how he left a legacy, and some of the different ways that he left a legacy. And then I said, like, we all know the Chuck Norris jokes, right? We've heard those, in like his role in television. These jokes started as this humorous way to exaggerate this toughness and legendary status of Chuck Norris. Sometimes I would say that maybe Alton might be the Chuck Norris of Rockport, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of had, and these were stories that people had told me actually over the years, like over the last few weeks. So one of the stories that somebody told me is that, like at high school track practice, Alton, when he was practicing to do his 300-meter hurdles runs, he would do them, and next to him in one lane over was the second fastest kid in school running without the hurdles, and Alton would still beat him even with the hurdles. And so I was like, part of the, Chuck Norris jokes are like, Chuck Norris doesn't do a push-up, he pushes the earth down, or Chuck Norris kicks a horse in the chin. Its descendants are now known as giraffes. Like these Chuck Norris jokes. And so one of them, the Alton Kinsel, he ran at high school track practice at the hurdles faster than he could run without the hurdles. And so legend has it that the only piers that were left standing after Hurricane Harvey were the ones that Alton built. Kind of a legendary status. When he was a shrimper, he didn't even have to put the nets out. The shrimp would just jump in. These sort of like little things. So I told some of those, and it kind of made it, I feel like, pretty personal and relational. And what was neat about it is, like, I had obviously prepared this, in advance, but during the time at the funeral that we opened up the podium for friends and family to come share stories, that time went on for like 40 minutes because everybody knew him. Everybody had a story to tell. But what was neat about it is, like, people would come up and share stories, and it kind of just like stole my thunder. Like one of them was like this girl he went to high school with, and she talked about how, like, anytime Alton would get in trouble for something or another and get sent to the principal's office, he would always come back from the principal's office with a big smile on his face coming into the classroom, and he would brag about how he didn't get in any trouble because he sweet talked the principal out of it. At the time, the principal was a woman, and so he just talked her out of the spankings. Well, this lady shared that at the funeral, Well, literally, one of my ways, the lore of Alton Kinsdale on how he's Chuck Norris-esque. Literally, this is what it says in my notes. In school, he would get called to the principal's office for something he had done wrong, and instead of leaving the office with spankings, he would leave with a handful of candy and all the office ladies giggling. And it's
Oh
like,
my gosh, they
so it's
gotcha.
like these people, they just wrote it for me. And even one of the guys that spoke, one of his high school buddies, said like, you know, he liked to think of Alton as the John Wayne of South Texas. And I was like, as he's sharing that, I'm like, dude, I
I
can't
have
even.
my notes. They have my notes here.
That's what I was saying. And so it worked out well because whenever I shared, like it made it made it feel very authentic. It was authentic, but it like
Yeah.
made it feel authentic for everyone else because it's like if you go up there and you share and I just share this like whatever random story about his character and
Yeah.
everybody in the room's like, nah,
Yeah, that's not how he
nah,
was.
we don't
Yeah.
got the same guy. But whenever it's like kind of in a way repeating the stories they just shared moments ago, it validates that okay, well done on the preparation there. And so that was good.
Yeah.
So the sisters, which his three daughters, my mother-in-law and Kayla's two aunts, were very, very satisfied, and that was
Oh,
the most important thing, more so than even satisfying Nancy, because screw Nancy.
not Nancy France here.
Yeah, but I did like I made it very. I was very intentional on Saturday about like prioritizing Nancy, making sure to honor her well, making sure she got seated in the best seat in the house, making sure that like she was recognized, even though I knew
Right.
like the behind the scenes stuff. I knew how deceptive she was being. Like I still felt my responsibility in the day wasn't to get involved with any of that, but it was still like even with all the crap that happened, she still lost her husband.
Yep.
And so I didn't want to discount that because I knew she was stealing millions of dollars.
That's funny. Yeah, that's still her husband. How long were they married? That must have been married for a while.
26 years.
27. That's a long marriage.
His
Yeah,
first marriage was 38 and a half. You have to make sure to have that half. For some reason or other, I don't know why, but the daughters always would talk about how they were married for 38 and a half years. And then the second marriage was 26. So, yeah, that's a long time.
That's a long time being married.
I mean, that's 64 years of marriage.
Yeah.
And then there's a 6-month gap between the marriages. So 65 years, basically. And they got married like 3 months after they graduated from high school. So they got married at 18.
Yeah.
So that
That's
all
how they did it
mapped
back
out.
then.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it was good. I got to have a conversation with him about 9 days before he passed in his house, and he was like extremely alert, extremely aware. Like he talked about his biological family, his adopted family. He talked about his upbringing. Like we talked for like an hour, and he talked about a lot of stuff, and it was all like very accurate. He knew everyone by name, and it was really neat because, like, obviously, as I've shared in the last several months, he hasn't had a whole lot of coherent conversations.
Right.
And him and I got to have a very coherent conversation. And I got to ask him some really difficult questions, like as far as what he believes, his faith, what he believes regarding his soul and eternity, and got to just kind of guide him through some answers on that, and got to give him some clarity, or more so give the family some clarity afterwards. And I recorded that conversation with him because if he did share anything in that conversation that I thought was important for his daughters, such as stuff, what he's going to do with his will or his estate or whatever, I wanted to be able to have that communication. And he didn't share anything substantial like that, but him and I did have a conversation that, like I said, provided a lot of clarity as far as his faith and what he believes, and I was able to spend quite a bit of time last week doing some audio editing of that, cutting out my voice,
Right.
cutting out the pickup truck driving in the background, cutting out the people talking in the kitchen, and
Yeah.
just kind of got to provide like a 2-minute clip of mostly him talking about like his faith and what he believes, and getting to make it really clear to the family about that, because that's was a big concern for them. Like, here he is, got days to live, and they're fighting over money, and they really don't even know, like, as far as his eternity goes, where he's going or anything like that. So
Right.
it was pretty neat to be able to share that in the service in front of a bunch of people, for them to get to hear his voice, not my voice, and I don't know. Hopefully, it gave them some level of peace.
Yeah. Oh, that is good. That's heavy work, though. That's heavy lifting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, he was a really hardworking labor guy. Like, he just worked hard, made a lot of money from hard work, and a lot of his family is that way. Kayla's uncles are like hardworking, run businesses, welders, fabricators, etc. And like, I have all of the physical abilities to do that, and I have done that. Like, I've worked in the labor field most of my working life.
Yeah.
But now I'm just a lowly pastor, and there's times in where, like, I just, some of it's my own insecurity, but some of it's valid, where we're hanging out at a family function, and the uncles and the cousins and all these ones that run companies and are hardworking blue collar guys, they're sitting there and they're talking about their jobs, and they're talking about this thing that's going on over here or there or whatever, and they'll exclude me from the conversation. And in some of that, I'm like, yeah, they don't think my job's even real. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even think my job's real. And then they just got to have like a front row seat of like some of the emotional and like, yeah, just mental like
Oh, yeah.
challenges of my job, and got to see a lot of that all week long. And one of the guys, he texted me on Saturday and was just kind of very encouraging as far as that goes. And then I told him, yeah, I appreciate that. And one of the challenges with my line of work is got another funeral next week, and it's like you go through that. It's very emotional. It's very difficult for the family. It's difficult for you. They're coming to you for answers. You've got to be the one person in the room that has it all together while they don't. And for their family, it's over. It's done. Funeral's done. Everything's done. But for me, it's reset, start over. We have another funeral to do this week, and then I'm doing marriage counseling for a young couple, and that's got its own set. And it's so like that mental and emotional like weight that they felt is just the everyday thing. And so it was just neat to get to have that conversation with him, because he understands physical exhaustion. Like, he really does. He does not understand the mental and emotional exhaustion that sometimes I get to experience.
Yeah. Yeah. They can both be hard. They're just different.
Yep, it's different.
What is the next funeral?
It's not like how do I say this? It's not a big deal. I don't want to sound insensitive.
Right.
It's just a church member of ours, dad, who passed away on Monday. He had a stroke, and he had a stroke Sunday night and didn't make it to the end of the day Monday. And he's asked us to do his service. He has one sister that was in Port Lavaca that's going to come down, and then some very immediate family. They're expecting about 25 people. And so it's a much different vibe, much smaller service. They're not even going to have a time of open podium, come share stories, because there's not enough people there to really share stories. And so it's going to end up being a much smaller, just kind of more formal service, and then little lunch afterwards. So it's definitely a different scale and a different draw, I guess. But
Yeah.
still very important to that family.
Right, yeah. Just because that big of a draw doesn't mean you don't get to show up and do your job.
Right.
Reloading!
Yep, that's the latest and the greatest here.
Good. How are the kids doing?
They're fine. Georgie's nearly walking, which is problematic because the stage from crawling to walking, that in between two week period or so, where they're nearly walking, results in a good bit of busted lips and possibly some bloody noses and different things because they're trying to walk and they don't have the capacity to do that yet. So they fall down and they hit their face on things because they don't know how to catch their fall yet.
Yeah.
Watching a 9-month-old fall, 10-month-old fall, it's just very rough, man. Very rough. They don't fall with grace.
They don't fall with grace.
Just like tip over.
But don't break their fall as
they don't know how to break their fall yet. They never experienced that, and so they don't even like if I throw a balloon at you guys, you're gonna stop that balloon from hitting you
in the face.
Give me a lot of credit.
Right. If I throw a balloon at Eleanor, she's also mostly gonna stop it. If I throw anything at Georgie, she doesn't even know yet what the feeling of something hitting her in the face is. So why would she stop it? Because it might be fun. It might be pleasant. See, they're just it's kids are stupid, and she's very stupid. So I mean that very literally. Kids are stupid.
I'm gonna record that soundbite. Send it to her when she's 16.
It will still apply.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, yeah, I can imagine it's a lot more to handle when both of them are walking around.
Yeah. She did get a busted nose last night.
Ah, shucks. What you run into? The wall?
No, the floor.
Oh, the floor.
Yeah, the floor. Gotta watch out for that floor, guys.
The floor is always there. It's always there.
Yep. Attacks you sometimes.
Comes up on you. Oh, goodness.
Turn the corner and bang, there's the floor.
Never forget.
Oh, goodness. So how's Kayla handling all the funeral and all that? She mourning and all that?
She's doing fine. I think that she's pretty she stays so busy with work and with the girls that like she doesn't even have the mental bandwidth to get caught up in all the crap.
Yeah.
So she's grieved as far as like her grandfather's passing, but she hasn't gotten into the weeds of like all the other crap. And the cousins will call her and say, "Have you heard this? Have you heard that?" And she'll just tell them like, "No, I kind of heard, but I'm just have this." Because like tomorrow night she has an event that she's planned for work. They're gonna have 400 guests. She's had to do all the work as far as catering, sound, items, giveaways, seating charts, sponsor banners. Like she's just planned the entire event, and so like that's just not abnormal for her. She does that throughout the year, so she just doesn't really have the bandwidth to get involved with all that crap, which is a good thing because she has not, and so I think she's handled that part of it pretty well.
That is good. That is good. Yeah, I know that family stuff can go around in a circle, and it can keep going, and it can keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and
Yeah, and I think too, like, I'm pretty thankful that she doesn't, I don't know, she doesn't care that much about the money stuff. Like, it makes it a little easier. You know, she's not, her love language is not gift receiving, or she doesn't have a taste for Michael Kors or any expensive things. So it makes it to where the reality of, losing out on some portion of a $2 million inheritance, like, yeah, no sane human would not be a little bummed about that, but also, like, she doesn't care that much. Like, it is what it is. It's not our money. It's not like somebody took it from us.
Right. Yeah.
It's his
Yeah.
money. So,
Yeah, I think it's because Shawn and I had a similar thing with our grandparents, but and of course, like our mom was distressed about, oh no, it's not going to be even. They're not, that means that Stephen and Shawn aren't going to get the portion that they deserve, and it's kind of like, yeah, but we're the grandkids here. We're not, the kids are going to come first. So yeah, like our uncle comes before us.
yeah.
The uncle is going to get a better share, obviously, than us, because, well, we're getting I don't even know, we're getting a half of whatever my dad's going to get. So.
Yeah. Well, and it just, like, goes back to that thing, like, the share, the portion that you deserve. Well, even the word deserve itself.
Right.
I don't know if it has a place in this conversation as far as, like, what did you do to deserve that besides, like, have the same bloodline? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So. But yeah, I mean, it's it's not fun. Death is not fun in the family there.
No, it isn't. I told Kayla because the family was fighting pretty pettily last week over the pallbearers.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yep, that's political.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll do.
Political.
And the funeral home said they can have up to 8 pallbearers, and they could not narrow it down to 8. They were stuck at 9, and so here they are trying to figure out how to get it down to 8. You've got, son. There's, had daughters. So you got his 3 daughters' husbands. Okay, that makes sense. And then you got his stepson. Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Right.
But then his granddaughters have husbands, and oh my gosh, now we're at 9. Well, I don't count because I'm doing the service, so I wasn't part of the 9. But then it's like, okay, well, which one of the granddaughters' husbands?
Right.
Because here's how cursed Alton was. He had 3 daughters. His 3 daughters had 2 more daughters each.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, if it's Crusader Kings, he's losing.
Yeah, he's in trouble. He is in big trouble. He is in big trouble. He's having a succession crisis.
And so anyway, they were fighting over this, like, pallbearer thing, and they were being so petty. They were like, well, my husband's known him for longer. And the other one's like, well, my husband has been there more in the last 2 years than he's been sick. And, like, bro, the pettiness was so stupid. But I told Kayla, I was like, look, when I die, my pallbearers will not be one I know.
There you go.
You will make an ad on Facebook Marketplace.
Hire him.
Paying individuals $100 to carry me from the stinking freaking church to the
to the
hearse.
car. Yep.
Nobody I know gets to fight over this. Nobody I know gets to, say that. Well,
I was the
say,
one.
I watched American Pie Naked Mile with him in high school. It should be me.
That's a bonding. That's bonding.
That's a real thing there. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we had with our grandma. Is that it was supposed to be because she had 2 sons and then 3 grandsons. That was 5. I don't know if there was. Does there have to be 8? Is 8 like the magic number?
No.
Probably. I don't know. It might be.
6 I think is standard.
Okay, yeah, I think there were 6 then. 6 sounds right.
Yeah, 6 is standard. They said we can do up to 8.
Right, so it was kind of like we had 5 spoken for, like my uncle, my dad, and the 3 grandsons. And then it was kind of like, well, who's the last one gonna be? Should it be, our cousin's husband? Should it be, whatever? And it ended up being, well, we're hosting the funeral at, I guess my grand aunt, her sister's. So it ended up being her son, who was like older than my dad.
Yeah.
Ended up being the person. It's like, oh, okay. So, well, he's hosting the what's it called?
Yeah.
So,
I think that one of the things that made it kind of more, I don't know, territorial is because of Allison's reputation being what it was. Like, he's one of the pillars of Rockport.
right.
And for you to, for the rest of your life, get to put on your resume that you're a pallbearer at Alton Kinzel's funeral,
Yeah.
I think meant something to some people. And I'm just over here like, bro, I am so glad my name's not even in that conversation.
Right.
Because I'm not, like, I don't know. I don't know. I say trying to be humble, but like, I don't think I would have cared. And I know Kayla would not have cared. She would not have fought with her cousins and said that, oh, well, he's known him for longer or this or that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like we would have been the first ones to say, like, oh yeah, y'all can have our spot. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I will be fine sitting with my wife at her grandfather's funeral instead of like trying to piss on a tree because I want to mark my territory.
So what ended up happening?
Well,
Who ended up being the odd man out? Son-in-law, grandson-in-law?
no, they did it.
They just did 9?
Yeah, it's like,
somebody is hanging on the edge there. Just there. I got my pinky
8 of
out
them.
here. I'm helping.
You have 8 of them carrying it, and the 9th one laying on top of it.
Oh, we can't decide. So, oh my god, that's funny.
And the thing, and what was annoying about it is there was a few of the men that I knew absolutely did not like care. And I don't say that like they didn't care, but I meant like it wasn't a big deal to them, but it was a huge deal to their wife. And so they couldn't back down and be the one to be like, no, it's okay, I don't have to carry it. Because their wife had already gotten into an argument with her cousins over it. So at this point, you're kind of just like, you're in it by proxy, bro. Like,
Right.
yeah.
It's not about you at this point.
So one of them actually, he kind of like opened the door and like made sure that nobody was in the way. He was kind of doing what the funeral home would usually do, to make sure the doors open, the aisles cleared. He kind of walked in front of the casket and made sure.
There you
But
go.
I can tell, even in conversation afterward, he felt his feelings were hurt. Yeah.
So
He felt like he got stuck at the kids' table. Because here's the thing, okay? There's another layer to this onion, okay? There were 9 pallbearers, okay? There were another 8 honorary pallbearers.
Oh goodness.
And these are ones that are not going to carry the casket, but these are other meaningful people. And these are usually most of them were his great grandsons. And some were like just friends, I guess. But these were the ones that didn't make the cut. And so that was the thing. Okay, which one of these 9 is going to move down from pallbearer to honorary pallbearer? Well, none of them was willing to do it. So then the time comes, and like they're exiting out, and one of them decides like, crap, there's not a handle for me to grab. So he, in the moment, was like, well, let me clear out the aisle. Let me make sure the doors open. Like he's helping for sure, but doesn't have a hand on the casket. Well, at the end of it, like in the reception, I heard him make a comment like, yeah, basically it felt like sitting at the kids' table at Christmas. And I was like, well, I guess you did have to walk with the grandkids, but. So like the honorary pallbearers, one of them was like 5 years old.
Right. He's the great grandkid.
And so that's the group that he kind of got pushed over
Put
into.
into,
It, I
yeah.
don't know, man. It's so silly.
Yeah. That is interesting. Oh goodness. And that was on Sunday or Saturday, or what day was it?
It was on Saturday,
Saturday.
yeah. So it was an all-day deal. Like
Yeah.
2-3 hour visitation, and then the service was 2 hours, and then like an hour and a half reception, and then the graveside service.
Oof.
It was.
What
jeez,
time
man.
did you start?
Well, the visitation started at 11.
11.
The service started at 2. The gravesite was at 5. I was back at home at like 7, but I was up there at like 5:30 doing sound tests, freaking out because. So everything I've shared with you, with y'all at this point, highlights like the pettiness, but
Right.
also like the legacy and how everybody feels that this, has to, I don't know, affect them somehow. Like everybody, and that's not abnormal. Like anytime you go to a
Yeah.
funeral, everyone there feels like they're the ones that are most heartbroken.
Right.
And so we all think the funerals are about us. We have a problem, but you added into this dynamic is the fact that Kayla's family, man, their expectations are so high, and like they don't drive vehicles that are more than a couple years old. Like if it's
Those
not the
kind of
late model,
expectations, okay.
if it's not the late model vehicle,
Right.
then they don't drive it. As soon as the newest model comes out, that's it. Even though, like, yeah, they do make good enough money to do that, but they don't have to do that. They're not, like, rich. But, like, even Tracy, the one that lives in an apartment in Aransas, she drives a Mercedes-Benz. She has designer handbags. Like, they just want the best.
Right.
And so whenever they spoke to the funeral home about the, service, and they saw the guest books that the funeral home has, you can either have a black guest book with some gold trim, or you can have a white one with some gold trim, and that's pretty much your options. They didn't like either one of them. They got a custom leather-bound guest book with his name embroidered into it. When they looked at the stationery for the program, like the order of service and the eulogy, they didn't like the software that the funeral home used. And the pamphlets that they had, they were definitely pretty dated, for sure. And instead of just being okay with that, they're like, hey, could you make one? Could you do better? And I was like, I made the poor decision of saying, yes, I can do better. Yeah. So ended up designing an 8-page funeral booklet. Usually they're like half a page front and back. This 8 pages is like a booklet folded. It was ridiculous. When they wanted a reception, okay, I understand. They made it very clear that at the reception they do not want to see any paper plates. They do not want to see any styrofoam. They do not want to see tablecloths on the tables. Should not be plastic. They need to be linen tablecloths. Like they wanted like a wedding level reception. Like they wanted the funeral reception to look like Shawn's wedding reception. Minus the open bar because we were at a church.
The open bar.
Man.
But they wanted each table to have linen tablecloths and a centerpiece. They just wanted this to look and to be exactly perfect.
Right.
They wanted me to proofread anyone's message that was going to speak. I told them I'm not going to do that.
Right. It's their
because
they get to say what they want to say.
yeah, if that's
words,
your if that's your concern, then don't have an open sharing time.
Right.
They wanted to like know what I was going to share in my message portion, and I'm like, yeah, I'll give you like kind of a rough idea, but I'm not. But their expectations were really high. The heightened stress of the week added to that, but like they were hitting me up about every single little thing, and it made it to where when Saturday came, even though visitation started at 11, I was up there at 5:30 sound checking, making sure like every light bulb turned on, like there wasn't in the pews, there wasn't one chair that was, you know, sticking out further than the other one. Like everything had to be exactly how they wanted, or I would have heard about it.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna deal with it sooner or later.
yep.
I'll
So
see. At 5:30 you're there. And then
yeah, I was there from about 5:30 to 7 on Saturday, but the rest of the week, like it was, like I've never in my life done any sort of video or audio editing ever, and like wanting to get, and this wasn't their expectation, this was just me wanting to get that sound clip. Like I watched no less than 8 hours of YouTube tutorials on how to use this Audacity software, and then I uploaded this hour-long conversation that he and I had, and went in there and like heavily edited it to, like, of course, take most of my talking out of there. But then there is one instance where somebody walks in the back door, and it's pretty kind of a farm-style house, so it's an old house from the 1800s, so it creaks and does some things, and I went in there to the audio file and was able to like not mute, but really take out a lot of those sounds. And then there was people talking in a different room, and I had to go in and do that. I probably spent 20 hours total between educating myself and then actually working on it on that audio file. And then just
you got a good skill now, you know.
I mean, it really is like I've been wanting to learn how to do that, and I kind of got forced to learn how to do it. And now, like, Mother's Day is coming up, and I got the ability, have the knowledge now that I can have Eleanor do this kind of cute little Mother's Day video, and I know how to do some video editing and sound editing to make it good. And I've been wanting to do that stuff for like Sunday mornings as well, because right now when the service starts, either me or the senior pastor, we do the announcements, and it's just so lame. It's like, welcome to our church. We got a few announcements I want to highlight for you. And then it's like, women's breakfast is at Taqueria on Saturday. And then our men's retreat is in 3 weeks. Get signed up in the foyer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm reading it off a piece of paper because I didn't spend any time planning, and sometimes I get the day wrong or I get the time wrong. It doesn't feel professional, it doesn't feel good. And I've been wanting to record that video announcement on Thursday, and then when the service starts, just right away that video shows, and if there's me fumbling over a word, well, I can just re-record that. So the video is going to be a polished, finished video, instead of like a Sunday morning me just fumbling through the announcements, or Pastor Chris fumbling through the announcements. I just haven't had the knowledge or the ability or even know where to start. Now I think I can do that sort of content pretty handily.
That's good.
What's happening up in San Antonio though?
Not too much. Not too much going on.
Yeah, too much really.
Pretty same old, same old. Weather's been nice. It hasn't been super hot yet, which has been nice. I've gotten into running, so it's been nice that it's not been 100 degrees yet.
I would provoke that poor decision.
I guess midlife crisis, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't say crisis, but I do think about...
I'm going to call it a
You
crisis.
can call it a crisis, that's fine. But, you know, it's kind of something that if I was going to run a marathon, probably better. Like I'm kind of getting to where it's, you know, the joints are starting to go here a little bit, so it'd be better if I did it before that happened. You can still do it. Obviously, older people run marathons. There was just a 73-year-old woman that just finished the Boston Marathon from San Antonio not a couple weeks ago. So it could be done, but it's just more difficult.
Is this a bucket list thing of yours?
Yeah, I guess it is now. It is now.
Run a marathon?
Yeah, run a
Like
marathon.
any marathon, or is there a particular one?
Um,
Rock
I mean,
and roll.
I feel like I need to be realistic with myself. I can be grandiose sometimes with my. Well, I think that's part of me getting older. There is realizing I should not be so grandiose. But thinking of my abilities. So yeah, I mean, part of me is like, yeah, I could, because yeah, like you're running the Boston Marathon. Basically, you have to run a marathon in, for my age range, would be like 3 hours and 10 minutes. So that means you're running like 6-something minute miles for 26 miles.
Ain't gonna happen.
So I'm not, yeah. So like for me, being realistic with myself. Maybe if I started running when I was younger, I did track in high school or whatever, you can kind of get there, but like just being realistic, like I'm not that fast. I killed myself doing a 5K and I got to 8:30. Which I mean, I guess I could do more training and get faster, blah blah. But like in general, like I don't think I'm not. It'd be unrealistic for me to think I can get to 6:30 miles for 20 times in a row, 26 times in a row. So.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more reasonable would be like try to finish in like 4 hours, which would be like a 9-minute pace, which is still, pretty decent pace to keep for 26 miles. But yeah, I don't know, man. Just getting older, and I feel not to also once again sound too grandiose, but I haven't had major injuries or stuff that would really prevent me from trying it. So I feel like since I can, I might as well try. It's been fun so far. I've enjoyed it so far, doing like 5Ks, and that's all we've done so far. We're trying to do the half marathon, Karen and I, in December. So we're kind of, starting to just run more often and try to get ready for that. But yeah, you gotta do a half marathon before you can do a marathon. It just takes a lot of time to build up to being able, your body can handle running that long without, getting serious pain. So.
Yeah, I'm in pain hearing about it.
Right. Yeah.
Come do Beach to Bay.
Yep. That's one out there. Yep, that's one of those. So I had a coworker that is gonna do that one here in.
I think I don't know. Do you know when it is?
I think it's in late May. I think a couple weeks.
I think that depending, they were hoping to do it over the new bridge, but I don't know if the ribbon cutting I heard the ribbon cutting got pushed back.
There you go.
Because they do that over the freaking Harbor Bridge.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy, right? Yeah, that'll be a crazy one.
You come down to Rockport and do the whooping crane strut.
Oh goodness.
Kayla's planning a 5K this year, I think.
Oh, good for her. Yeah, it's something different too,
Well, correction. Sorry. She's planning one. Like she's putting
Oh,
it on.
she's organizing it. Gotcha.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
good.
Completely different.
Yeah. They're running it, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. It's just a lot different than kind of like what I'm used to. So it's been fun.
Yeah.
I got no complaints. If it stops getting fun, I told myself, okay, if I do start getting injuries or it starts getting too painful, like yeah, okay, if you can't do it, it's fine. But some people just try to force themselves through it, and it's like, yeah, you already have tendonitis, or you already have Achilles problems, tendinopathy. Like yeah, I just don't think. Probably just save your joints and go for longevity here, and just do some weight training or something. But I don't know. So we'll see. But that's all I've been doing, really. Just doing that, and what else we've been doing, Shawn? Not too much. Little house full. Mostly that. But yeah, it's been good. No complaints.
Yep, just work. A lot of work.
What's new on the baby front there, Shawn?
So
Start the new round yet or not yet?
no, so she did an ultrasound of her follicles, and one was enlarged. more so than they would like, to do a new extraction round. So we had to wait another month to do it again. Hopefully there's no other concerns, but yeah, to do it again. And so I think she's perioding the 11th. And
Gotcha.
we'll go back in and see how it looks. See if it's ready to get some more eggs. That'll be our last time getting eggs.
Right. Oh, is it? I thought. Wait. Did you already do the injections for the third time?
No. But these injections would be so we're doing injections again to get the extraction.
Okay. So right now you're doing the injections?
No, we had to wait here until her period before we could start a new.
So you say that'll be the last time? Is that the policy there? Is it like only let y'all do it a few times?
No, they let
That's
you do it
y'all's
every
policy.
month if you want, as long as your body's ready for it. You can do it all year. I'll